Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about how you can sponsor your family members to Canada. Whether you're a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, bringing your loved ones to Canada can be a life-changing experience. But it's important to understand who you can sponsor and what the process involves. In this video, I'll explain it step by step so you know what to expect. Let's get started. Who can you sponsor? Canada allows you to sponsor certain relatives so they can be here as permanent residents. To sponsor someone, you must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Unfortunately, if you are in Canada temporarily on a work or study permit, you can't sponsor anyone just yet. Now, let's go over the different family members you can sponsor. 1. Spouse, common law partner, or conjugal partner. One of the most common types of sponsorship is for spouses, common law partners, or conjugal partners. Here's how each one works. Spouse, you can sponsor your husband or wife if you are legally married, whether the marriage took place in Canada or another country. If you are married abroad, your marriage must be valid under Canadian law. For instance, Canada recognizes same-sex marriages. So, if you were married in a country where same-sex marriages isn't legal, you can still sponsor your spouse as long as your marriage is legal here. Common law partner. If you have been living with your partner for at least 12 consecutive months, you can sponsor them as your common law partner. You'll need to provide proof that you have been living together for that entire time, like shared rental agreements, utility bills, or joint bank accounts. Conjugal partner. This applies to people in a committed relationship who cannot live together for reasons beyond their control, such as immigration issues or legal barriers in the other country. For instance, if you are in a same-sex relationship and cannot live together because same-sex marriage is not allowed in your partner's country, you may be able to sponsor them as a conjugal partner. Conjugal partnerships are less common and require solid proof of the relationship, so be prepared to show how circumstances prevent you from living together. Number 2, dependent children. You can sponsor your children if they are under 22 years old and not married or in a common law relationship. If your child is over 22 but relies on you due to physical or mental condition, you may still be able to sponsor them. Keep in mind, you will need to provide documents proving that the child is dependent on you. Number 3, parents and grandparents. If you want to sponsor your parents or grandparents, there are a few more requirements to meet. One of the most important is showing that you can support them financially. You will need to submit proof of your income from the past 3 years, usually in the form of your tax returns, to show that you can take care of them without relying on social assistance. Here is how it works. When you apply to sponsor your parents or grandparents, the government looks at your family size and makes sure you meet a minimum income threshold. This means you will need to show that your income is enough to support yourself, your spouse, and any dependent children, and the family members you want to sponsor. You can also have a cosigner. This is normally your spouse or common law partner, and their income can be added to yours to help meet the financial requirements. But there's something important to know. Sponsorship for parents and grandparents is done through a lottery system. Each year, the government announces when they will open the lottery, and you will submit an interest form saying you want to sponsor. If you are lucky and get chosen, you can then move forward with the full application. Number 4, other relatives. This category is much more limited, but in some cases you can sponsor other relatives like siblings, nieces, or grandchildren. However, there are strict rules. For instance, these relatives must be under 18 years old and orphan, meaning both of their biological parents must have passed away. They must also be related to you by blood or adoption. In some very rare cases, you can sponsor another relative if you have no other family in Canada and no one else abroad that you could sponsor. This is often referred to as Lonely Canadian category, where the goal is to reunite family members who have no other relatives to rely on. Hey, I hope you are enjoying this video so far. If you are looking to immigrate to Canada without dealing with complicated and confusing immigration forms and rules, right below this video you'll find a link to book a call to speak with me or my team so we can tell you how we can make your immigration process less stressful. Now, back to the video. Sponsorship process. Now that we have covered who can you sponsor, let's talk about how the process works. When you sponsor a family member, you are entering into an agreement with the government. This agreement means that you promise to financially support the person you are sponsoring for a set period of time. For spouses, common law partners, or conjugal partners, this commitment lasts for 3 years from the time they are a permanent resident. For dependent children, the commitment lasts until they turn 22 or for 10 years, whichever comes first. If you are sponsoring parents or grandparents, the commitment lasts for 20 years. This means that if they need financial assistance during this time, you will be responsible, not the government. Inland versus overseas sponsorship. There are two types of sponsorship applications depending on where your family member is living. One, inland sponsorship. If your spouse or partner is already in Canada, you can apply through the inland sponsorship route. One benefit of this option is that they may be eligible for an open work permit while waiting for their application to be processed. This can be a great help for couples who want to live together in Canada during the process. However, the person being sponsored must stay in Canada throughout the process. The second type of application is overseas sponsorship. If your family member is living outside of Canada, you would apply through the overseas sponsorship route. The processing times for both inland or overseas applications are normally around 1 year, but this can vary depending on the number of applications being processed or other factors like global events, humanitarian and compassionate grounds. If your family member doesn't fit in any of the categories I've talked about, don't worry, there's still hope. In some cases, you can apply under humanitarian and compassionate grounds. This allows you to sponsor a relative who doesn't meet the standard requirements if there are compelling reasons to do so, like if you have been caring for a niece or nephew who has no one else. The humanitarian and compassionate application is a bit more complex, but it's an option worth exploring for certain family situations. Sponsoring a family member to Canada is a great way to reunite with your loved ones and start a new life together here. Understanding steps and requirements can make it much smoother. Whether you are sponsoring a spouse, parent, or even a relative, it's important to gather the right documents, meet the financial requirements, and follow the right process. If you have any questions or need help with your application, don't hesitate to reach out to us for more information. We are here to help make your sponsorship journey as easy as possible. Thank you for watching and good luck. And don't forget, life is good and it's getting better here in Canada. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, take a moment right now to subscribe right below and turn on the notification button to get notified every time I post a video. Thanks for watching.